Good evening, everybody. This is Thursday, July 7th or 6th, 2023, and I'm going to give a short tutorial on how I have created my own RAID 1 array, software RAID. My current operating system is Debian Sid. We'll give you that a shot real quick here. What we're going to have to do first and foremost is install the MD-admin, which I have not done on this system. So this is not a virtual, this is bare metal. It is a laptop. It's an ASUS laptop. This is my second iteration of this particular help file. First one I did is what you see on the right hand side in Vim. That was fine. I set up the font a little larger so people can read, but I failed to bring the font up on the left hand side, the work area. So while I did have this video completed a while ago, I wasn't going to upload it the way that it was. So in any event, that's been installed. Let's take a look at the drives that we have. We're going to be utilizing on my system SDB and SDC. These are SSD drives. They're in a housing externally that I use for some backups. My main drive on this laptop is an NVMe drive, 1 terabyte. I have also another SSD internal. That's also a 1 terabyte that I do most of my work from, and then I typically will have an rsync run nightly from that work drive to the RAID array for my backups. So that being said, let's go ahead and move on. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to be partitioning the two drives, and we'll be changing the file systems. If you're using fdisk, you'll be changing the file system to number 42, which is a Linux RAID. Or if you're using cfdisk, which is what I'll be using, you'll actually see the listing Linux RAID. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this going. And you can see that everything looks pretty much virgin. We'll create a new one. You're going to use the whole drive space. We're going to do with a type, and there it is down below, the Linux RAID. And we'll go ahead and write that. And we'll run it again for the other drive. New again. Type is Linux RAID. And we'll write that also. And we will quit. So using lsblk, we can see that those drives have been created, those partitions. Now what we need to do is, at this point, we need to, I might have done some of these a little bit out of order. So, I think we're okay there. Let's take a look at, let's examine the drives that we're going to be using. Good. Everything looks good there. They're nice and consistent. That's all very, very good. You can see for both drives. Perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and create the logical. In this case, I'm staying right to the form of what Debian suggests in their wiki, and I'm going to use MD0 as the device. So I'll take you through this line where we're actually we're creating the device MD0. The level equals, you can use the word mirror, you can use the word RAID followed by the number 1, or just the number 1. I strongly suggest you go ahead and check out the man page for MD-admin. There are a lot of different options you can use. Here we're telling it we're going to use 2 devices, and we're defining them as SDB1, the partitions, and SDC1, the partitions. Continue creating the array. Yes. Perfect. That's been started. Now let's go ahead and check the status. Beautiful. You'll notice that the resync is at 0.0. This will take a long time if you've got a drive, in my case, a 1 terabyte, which isn't huge by today's standards, but this will take several hours, 8-9 hours perhaps, sitting idle to do a resync. But nonetheless, you can still utilize the RAID array. So now let's go ahead and take a look at there. Perfect. Look at that. Everything is consistent there for the array size and used device size. Beautiful. Everything is good there. 2 devices total. Superblock is persistent. Outstanding. Status is clean and it's already resyncing. Perfect. 2 devices, working devices. Everything looks in order. Otherwise, you'll see a lot of errors if things are not correct. So we will go ahead now and look at the 2 devices themselves. And this just basically gives you a bunch of information as things are progressing during the creation. Now at this point we're going to actually create the file system for the logical drive, which in this case again is devmd0. We're going to give it the file format of ext4. Yes, this will take a little bit of time. So as you can plainly see on the right hand side of the screen, we're already at step number 10. And as you create these and get more familiar with the process, you'll be able to zip through this quicker than what I'm actually doing it here now. I mean, it gets to be secondhand. And if you come from an Arch world, you'll see that some of this, most all of this is all very familiar anyways. So we're going to be skipping number 10 because we already have that directory created in the under MNT mount. So what we'll end up doing it there, we'll go right to step 11, which is we're going to mount the logical drive devmd0 to the mount point on the file system itself. It should be wrapping this up now. Beautiful. Let's take a look here. Very good. Outstanding. You can see there's the logical drive MD0 under both SDB1 and SDC1. So now let's go ahead and as you can see, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. That's fine. As you can really see here, the MD0, that directory has already been created. So let's go ahead and mount everything there. Outstanding. Now we should see, there it is right there. How about that? We're at 1% used. So just for giggles, we're going to go ahead and check the status again of as you can see, still resync is at 0 complete. Let's just pop up one more set of command here to take a look. And yeah, we're at 0.3%. So like I said, I mean, we're already just a couple minutes into the video. This does take a very long time. So now that we've mounted it, we're going to save the configuration, the RAID configuration. So as you can see, this is just going to save it in the default directory of etc /md admin. So let's go ahead and do that. So the information that you see here is going to be put into that particular file. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Since we won't be modifying it, we're just going to go ahead and take a look at it. And we'll just do this. And there you can see it's been appended to the end of the line. Okay. Now, I'm not entirely sure this next command is actually necessary, since this is external drives that are going to be set up in the RAID for the SoftwareRAID. I think if I read correctly that this really is needed if you're somehow utilizing you're booting into RAID, like the file system is, your system is running under RAID. I'm not entirely sure, but it really doesn't hurt anyways to do this. So once this is done, we'll wrap that up by simply adding a line into the /etc/fs tab file. I strongly suggest that you make a backup of the file, because if something happens, you fat finger it, whatever the case may be. If you don't have a backup, you're gonna probably have a hard time rebuilding things to get back into a live system. If at least you have a backup that's out there, like if you have like fstab.org, it'll error and you'll be put into a single user mode, if I'm not mistaken, or emergency mode. You type in the root password, you can get in there and just simply copy the .org file into the fs tab, and then reboot, and you're right back where you started from. So I highly recommend that you do that. I actually have that a backup file sitting out there just for that reason. Now I'm using, for this example, I'm using the device MD0, where normally, as you can see in my configuration file here, I use UUIDs. I'll be changing that later on, but I won't cover that in this particular video. But now that that's in there, now that if I were to reboot this machine, it would automatically mount. I'm not going to go ahead and do that, but I do want to cover a couple of things real quick. Again, like in my notes, I use UUID. There is another video that I created that kind of gives you an idea how I do that and basically pump that information into FS tab and then modify it at that point. This document that I created is something that I compiled from two sources, the Debian Wiki, SoftwareRAID, and Linux Babe. I'll have a link. I'll put this document that I have in the description and the link. Again, this works for me. Your mileage may vary, and I don't make any claims that if you follow what I'm doing, it will work 100% for you. You will obviously need to, use at your own risk. But yeah, this works for me, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks, and see you in the next one.